Jeremy Hauser here, host of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. This is an episode you will not want to miss out on, as I have a detailed conversation with a very successful entrepreneurial advisor, Terry Wheeler, how he has more than doubled his business over the last 4 years. He shares a lot of systems and processes that have helped him and his business actually grow. Also, tapping into the emotional side of his customer relationships to help gain wallet share. He shares a lot around marketing avenues and tax planning strategies that really helps his practice separate himself from the competition. So with that, let's kick into this episode. Tune in and enjoy.
Systems work, people fail. Welcome to InsurMark's Advisor Mentorship Podcast with Vice President Jeremy Hauser.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Hauser, and we have an entrepreneurial advisor as our guest today who is locked into the 10X mindset. Terry Wheeler of We Alliance Wealth Advisors. How are we doing today?
Doing good, Jeremy. How are you?
We're doing good. We're doing great. Great seeing you a couple weeks ago, and we were actually going to dive into today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, but we were basically in Miami not too long ago. So you were one of the advisors at Founders Club Experience, and at the very end, you were one of the three advisors that was on stage. So I'd love to get your thoughts, just the takeaway for you for being in Miami, for those advisors that were there, or even those advisors that weren't there. What was the big takeaway for this year's Founders Club Experience for you?
I kind of chuckle because I always go to these events and you get so many great ideas just talking to other colleagues across the country. And that's one of the most valuable things. But the speakers were great, as always. And my takeaway, it's hard because I literally on the plane ride home, I had started with A and I was just number my to-dos. And I literally got all the way to Z. I actually got to Y. Then I'm like, well, I can't stop there. So I added an exercise goal that I was setting for myself for the Z. So I've been working through those. But the biggest thing is I've switched to a 12-week kind of, instead of year, we switched everything to a quarter. And we had started that actually before we went, but one of the speakers really talked about that and we really embraced it completely. And I did a little bit of a cheat in that I adjusted my goals that we had already set for the quarter for part of our business. And I made the 12-week goals, but I wanted it to coordinate with the quarter. So we kind of started 1 month in, but we had already set quarterly goals for income and an annuity refinance program that we were doing that you had helped me with. So I think that's the biggest takeaway, but boy, there were many, so many great things that came out of that meeting.
So that is, I can't stress that enough. And I love the fact that, so as one of our top guys here for our company at Simplicity InsurMark, as your firm is, so that's the biggest takeaway, is just setting goals for the next 12 weeks and having the team align to that for more gratification. So what was the biggest aha moment, or why was that the biggest takeaway I'd like to emphasize on 12 weeks?
Well, I'm in the middle of trying to do a 10X, so that the book it's from the strategic coaching program ultimately, but it's one of the students that wrote it with Dan Sullivan. 10X is easier than 2X, and we're really trying to do that. We've been working on it for well over a year, but our first steps were really creating a better client journey and a better client experience, and trying to systematize some things that I just do in my head because I've been doing this for 35 years. So we're at the point where we are really trying to tackle some pretty big projects this year.
Sure. And
to get those done in my spare time, because everything is working well. So calendar is completely booked. So I'll have 4 meetings done by 11 a.m. this morning already, this being the first, and I was in early for a prep. So it's hard to fit it all in. So you got to have goals and schedule it to get these things done. But it's amazing what you can do when you set out to tackle, you start out with 12 weeks, then we bring it down to each week, and then I bring it down to what am I going to do each day. And then before you know it, you look back and it's amazing how much you can get done.
Correct.
But we got some big, hairy goals. Tried to set one. I actually have 4 that we're working on this year. And some of them are I don't know how I'm going to be able to accomplish them, to be honest, but we are sure going to give it a try.
So going back to, yeah, I I think that's very wise advice for anybody who listens, is instead of, as we talk like at the end of the year, especially about like 2025 goals, and everybody wants to grow a certain amount year over year. And when you start breaking it down into quarterly, that's almost more of a refinement to make sure to see like checkpoints if you're on track to hit those larger goals. And then especially now breaking it down into daily, um, like how do we get there per day over the next 12 weeks. So
Yeah.
very wise. I think so for those that remember this voice, he was actually on the episode 36 way back in the day. It was about two and a half, I think we were talking about 2.5 years ago or so. I know you started working with our team about 3 years, and on that episode, you really talked more about being as an RIA. I think at that time, you were a little over $100 million of assets under management, and you were starting to embark on using some fixed index annuities in your business. So, fast forward 3 years from now, what are you? How do you use FIAs as your planning with customers, or what has your business model formed to today than what it was 3 years ago?
So the model has evolved a little bit, but really it's more systematizing what we were already doing and the way we message it to clients. I use the fixed index annuities the same way I talked about on that episode, meaning to me they are they're part of the fixed income bucket. So we do 3 strategies for fixed income. So we talk about traditional bonds, we also do lending, and then we do volatility buffers, which are fixed index annuities. So we position them as just one of the 3 buckets we use for fixed income. In our view, it's really not a stock alternative, even though some of these can give stock market a run for its money in the right set of circumstances. So we've just, I guess, solidified the system far more, but they hold the same place in the portfolio.
Have you heard of Ibexus? Ibexus is an insurance provider that makes retirement planning simple with competitive products, strong partnerships, and seamless business processes. The FIA Plus offers premium bonuses, bailout features, and flexibility for additional growth potential based on risk preferences, all at no charge. The Wealth Defender series provides options for guaranteed par rates or premium bonuses, plus an enhanced ADL waiver for added security. With an A- AM Best rating, exclusive distribution, and 100% digital processing, Ibexus delivers strength, efficiency, and a high quality experience. For more information on Ibexus, go to www.insuremarkamp.com/Jeremy and click on Learn More. And so that's good to hear. And I believe in that episode, actually, you talked about too, kind of more along the lines of insurance due diligence, and you wanted to see hopefully contracts stayed very consistent over the next coming years once you put some of the customers in there. And who would have thought, right, that the 10-year treasury and the interest rate environment we're in today is where we are compared to 3 years ago. So how has that impacted your business for viewing these products now?
Sure. So when we started in late 2021, but really 2022 is the first year we decided we've got to get some more income, and bonds are just terrible from an income standpoint. They're actually getting worse now again. We really were just looking at getting something that would give us 1 to 2% better than bonds. Now, when we started in 2022, looking at where rates were prior, we thought we were at a pretty good rate. We were pretty excited at the crediting rates, that what's called the participation rate, with some products, they're cap rates. We thought they were pretty attractive, but boy, have they improved dramatically. So we're a fiduciary based firm. We went back and, with your urging, quite frankly, so thank you, we started looking at the participation rates now compared to even in 2022. And I looked at my contract for Angela and I, and we were able to improve things by kind of doing what we're referring to as an annuity refinance. We were able to improve things massively. We got rid of a 1.5% fee that we were paying to juice the performance in the product we were in. And we got a nice chunk of money up front that completely offset our penalties and gave us more. So we basically got a net bonus, got rid of a 1.5% fee, plus our performance went up dramatically. So not only do we not have to pay to juice our performance, it's better than it was in the prior product, but we do have the option to juice it more if we want. So we started in 2022, which in hindsight was not the best time to start. So with these annuities, I would say I was tested a little bit as far as looking at these saying, are these things going to be any good? Are they going to be, I referred to old annuities as garbage products, quite frankly. 4 to 6% bonds is what we looked at them as.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing it has done, and we're going to have an episode with Tom, who you've talked to me about through a Nexus, about going really into the indexes. And I've really kind of been spending time studying them. And we're very convinced that, yes, we're going to have bad periods, but we're going to have some great periods too. So we're very excited about what they will do in the future. We have a good strategy as to how we're staggering things now. I think they have a firm, they belong in every single portfolio, in our opinion. And I think BlackRock came out basically saying the same thing, that they had recommended about 15% or somewhere in that range as a minimum. We're very firmly in that camp, but we believe it is part of the fixed income bucket, and that's what we try to teach our clients about.
Good stuff. And so I was in your office last month, right before we headed out to Miami, and got to check out where the magic happens in that 2-story building of yours. So that was fun for a quick little stop. And one of the things that really stood out, and I shared with you, and I don't even think you even cared, but you didn't even realize it. But so your team in the last 3+ years of working with us, so you've actually now doubled your assets under management since the first time we talked about 4 years ago. And while doing that, you were able to utilize these FIA products into your solutions for your customers. So one would think, well, maybe he's just moving a lot of money into these products and basically doing a lateral move for protection for customers. But it doesn't tell this full story if you were able to double your assets under management. So can you share with the audience a little bit about some of the secrets of literally doubling your AUM while starting to incorporate annuities into your business?
Sure. So to be honest, this is a lot of systems, strategies, goal setting. It has more to do with that than it really has to do with annuities, because annuities are just a place in the business. So the annuities aren't really what fueled the growth. It was really the systems. And I think the biggest thing is we really spent a lot of time embracing things that we've talked a lot in the AMP group about, is utilizing video. We use video pretty extensively in our client journey now. We have a My Story video that we've done. We might actually revamp it with your team's help here pretty soon. But using video, using the customer journey that is much more defined. So we've always tried to have a good customer experience, but it's very defined now what we do. I kind of got a kick because part of what we do is we send a gift out to each client. And one of my clients came in, and this shouldn't be a big deal, but it's the first time it's happened. They came in with we send out a really nice shirt, kind of like a golf long sleeve shirt that has our name on it and everything. And he comes into his review meeting wearing it. So I got a kick out of that. And then at the gym, somebody recognized me off my podcast, which was very weird.
Sharing sets.
Yeah, it was, I guess somebody is listening to it. So it's been really systematizing everything. And you always say, systems work, people fail. We very much embrace that. And we've done it across our business, and we actually have multiple businesses. So that and telling the story more was a big part of it. And then one of the biggest things is we really focused internally on making sure our current clients were getting more out of their relationship with us. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, we got 80% of our referrals, or 80% of our business just internally. And we've got systems for how we get it internally now. And it's worked incredibly well. And it's only getting better. So this is something that we've done well. Something works, we're doing it for a while and it's great. And then all of a sudden we stop doing it. So the nice thing about the systems is we have checklists, we have things that each person that's a team member, they have things that they're doing for the client experience when the gift goes out, when certain videos go out, which they start before they ever even come into their first meeting, sending out podcast links. All of that has become extremely systematized, and that's really helped our process and fuel the growth. And I haven't looked back to see if your numbers are right, because I gave you some numbers, I guess, 2.5, 3 years ago. It
Yeah.
doesn't feel like we've doubled, but I've never been one to count the beans, so to speak. I just run as hard as I can, and I know we're growing, but at the same time, I always say we're growing at maybe 20 million a year, and if we doubled during that time frame, because we're actually at about 250. Um, so if we were at 100 back then, we actually are basically 2.5x our business. But we're taking that number and trying to 10x it going forward. But we're basically going to be doing that by teaching other firms how to do it. And that's something that is about to launch. So we'll have some tools and stuff that we'll share just with our group, but also to other advisors and then other attorneys. So I'm an estate planning attorney. One thing that we are going to be doing is showing some estate planning attorneys and some CPAs. We're going to be converting them to wealth planning practices. And we're going to need other advisors to help, because they're not going to be the advisors necessarily. They're going to get paid on part of it, but we're going to have advisors that are going to come in, and they will basically have business that is beyond warm to close, using the system that we've set up in the portfolio system. So we're going to start recruiting to that here pretty soon, and do a little bit of a coaching program of our own in order to make sure we get the right fit. Because first and foremost, we want the clients taken care of very well. Not just generate business for people. We want the right people that are going to be taking care of the clients, that have a passion to take care of the clients in the right proportions.
For those not familiar with North American, they are a 139-year-old employee-owned company specializing in annuities and life insurance. They hold A-plus ratings with AM Best, S&P, and also Fitch. They had a record annuity year in 2024 with just over $7 billion of issued business that was balanced between guaranteed income and accumulation-focused fixed index annuities. In partnership with Annexus, in 2024, the Secure Horizon suite of fixed index annuities was presented with the Deal of the Year Annuities Award by SRP Americas. The award recognizes excellence in annuity products based on performance, customer satisfaction, and sales volume. From an ease of business standpoint, North American has consistently issued in good order cash with app business within 24 to 48 hours via the Firelight e-app platform. And they just announced a first to market capability within the platform, the ability for the client to take a picture of a check and submit it right along with the e-application. That means instant issue on in good order business and commissions paid that much quicker. If you are looking for an employee owned industry leader in the annuity space that gets business issued fast and you paid commissions faster, North American is that company. For more information around North American's competitive advantages, go to www.insurmarkamp.com/Jeremy and click on Learn More. North American, prepare for your financial future. Mm-hmm. And I do want to go back to the for sure talk a little bit more about the opportunity for the 10x of where you're at today and where you're trying to go. But before that,
Sure.
so what switched? There was something where probably there was a mindset or getting deeper into relationships. So for maybe a tip for an advisor, because I'm sure you thought you were getting all your clients' assets, just like most people, or you thought, maybe that's all I'm going to be able to get from them. So what flipped in order for you to start to enhance that relationship with them and build that trust, credibility for now them to give you more wallet share?
So there's a concept often referred to as the value chain. And this is something that we work on, where clients are coming in. Let's say they went to a workshop where we're just talking about volatility buffers. So we're talking about basically how does a fixed index annuity fit within your retirement plan. So they come in because they want to learn a little bit more. But when they come in, we then show them what a good client fit is for us, So we begin with them. So we really have a process that we've implemented to embrace the emotional side of planning, because I tend to be a technician,
Hmm.
and we really go through to plan out their goals, learn more about, if they travel, we don't just say, "Oh, great, you travel." We try to find out, where do you travel? Where did you go last? Where are you going to go next? What does retirement look like for you? And we get them to really paint that picture. And this is something that Michael Ginsberg, who's part of our group, really helped me to turn the corner to realize, hey, this is really needed. Clients connect with you emotionally, which is so common sense, but you get so proud and so impressed with yourself as to how good your planning is. You just want to tell them about it, but it's got to start with them. So we do that. And then we show them step by step what the client journey is like. And a client, I think I shared with you, we had about 10 million of new assets that said they were moving forward last week.
Hmm. Yep.
And that was 4 of 5 cases. So these were some larger cases. We lost one. I could have told you in the first 5 minutes we weren't going to get this guy. You could just tell with the attitude and the approach that he was smarter than everybody, and he wasn't really listening. So I should have just shut it down, but I didn't. I tried to convert him, and I wasn't successful. But the other 4, it was a really good fit. Just great people, great families, love their kids. Everything aligned with the way we think. And as we went through this, we were kind of showing them the value proposition, showing them everything we were doing. We did up our minimum to $1 million. We let them know that, and they're learning this value chain, and they're seeing that all these things are happening. And one of the clients that was about a $4 to $5 million portfolio said, "You know what? We want to move. We're going to make this change." They basically said it right there in the meeting. They said, "Our guy was pretty good at growing the assets, but they don't talk about anything you talk about. They don't talk about defense. All they do is diversification. They don't really structure income the way you're talking about.
Hmm.
You're a income or distribution planning expert, and that's what we need right now." And that all came from the process that we were just giving them an overview of what their journey would be like, because we tell them we want to make sure you're committed to the journey too, because this isn't just work for us, it's going to be work for you. And we're month to month, so we don't want people that are here for a transaction. If that's you,
Sure.
great, we'll give you advice, go implement it, but that's not us. So just by really getting to know them, and then by showing them the client journey, not all the details, we don't tell them we're sending them a gift, but we show them all the different sections that are going to be systematically implemented based on their priorities. It's incredibly effective for people who have built wealth, because they want more than somebody throwing them into a 60-40 stock bond portfolio, or even just selling them an annuity. I
Hmm.
mean, I've got people that come in that have a ton of annuities that somebody crammed too much down their throats, and we're doing annuity unwinding and rescue because it's got a place in a portfolio. But for very few people should it actually be your whole portfolio. So we spend a lot of time just teaching them why that is, and showing them where things can go well and where things can go wrong, and why they should have a good balance.
So that's a lot of good stuff in what you just shared, and you are a technician because, as I said, you doubled your business. You were quick to say you 2.5x'd it. So just to
Well,
be
if your
clear.
numbers are right, that's there. I can't believe we've done that, but it's been a lot of internal. And when I say internal, we have processes where, if you look at the industry stats, in fact, in Miami, I think somebody on stage mentioned that something like 70% of the next generation is going to fire their current advisors.
Yep.
Well, I doubt if we'll have 10 to 20% fire us, because we get to know the kids now.
Hmm.
On Monday, I taught a course that was kind of introducing, where we're literally have a course for the kids to teach them finance. And then we've always had a course where we teach them what it's like to be a trustee, trust administration. We do an inheritance training course that goes both into financial, legal, and tax. So the idea is you learn these relationships, or you build these relationships now. They're already your client if you've done it well. Now,
Hmm.
they're not our target client, because our target client is $1 million plus. But when we take on a family, let's say mom and dad have $2.5 million portfolio. They're a Kaiser physician that retired, which is a typical client for us. We will have their kids and sometimes their grandkids as clients. And that grandkid might have a $16,000 account, but they are going to be a client, and we're going to take care of them, because the family is how we view $1 million minimum, not the kids or grandkids.
Have you heard of Ibexus? Ibexus is an insurance provider that makes retirement planning simple with competitive products, strong partnerships, and seamless business processes. The FIA Plus offers premium bonuses, bailout features, and flexibility for additional growth potential based on risk preferences, all at no charge. The Wealth Defender series provides options for guaranteed par rates or premium bonuses, plus an enhanced ADL waiver for added security. With an A- AM Best rating, exclusive distribution, and 100% digital processing, Ibexus delivers strength, efficiency, and a high quality experience. For more information on Ibexus, go to www.insuremarkamp.com/Jeremy and click on Learn More. Hmm. And I mean, to the stat you said, yeah, 72. So with all the generational wealth that's going to be transferred over the coming 5+ years, with boomers passing and so forth, the amount of money that's going to be in motion, 72% of those that are inheriting those assets are firing those financial advisors. So that's the stat that they were sharing. And I mean, talk about too. So I mean, you weren't necessarily doing a lot of social media either, slash creating
I don't
content.
even get on social media before recently.
But also that's a good point though. So a lot of people similar to you, they don't do that type of marketing, but you
Yeah.
saw in your business that there is a need to build a parallel there to maybe have those younger generations, because that's where they're going to consume content. They got to follow you, or they got to know what information you're putting out there. They're not checking, Fox News or watching radio or listening to radio. So
Yeah. Yeah. There was another stat. I don't know if I picked it up in Miami, or I'm constantly reading books, and I'm a student as well as a teacher forever. I mean, I love it. One of the stats was somewhere around 30% of the kind of millennial generation, they prefer to interact with technology versus their advisors. Like, they don't hire an advisor, go to a dinner workshop. They're getting it all through technology. They're not really our target client. We want the people who already have money. So we know how to do a very powerful planning on wealth accumulation. We teach on it, but they're not our target. We're sprint to retirement and retirement. But for those folks, you've got to have a presence. And if you want to get to know the next generation, where we found social media helpful, we haven't figured out how to use social media to really find our ideal clients. That, quite frankly, we're still working on. And I know some advisors have figured that out. We can't seem to crack that code just yet, although I've got some ideas that I think will. We do brick and mortar. I mean, we've done dinner workshops forever, and then we overwhelmingly we're getting really good at getting referrals from our existing clients that are happy. So that has been big, and that includes internal marketing to people that maybe did a transaction in the past that we're now going back to through our drip systems and through video. So the combination of really embracing drip systems, video, keeping in contact with everybody regularly, having the client journey, it's really not one thing that has fueled this growth. It's how it all has been systematized. And the playbook that we have that we're going to just give to advisors that we're working with, it's not the only way to do it. There's more than one way to do these things. So people can take what they want and throw out the rest, but it works. It's powerful. And then one of the big hairy goals that we're doing is we've got some very powerful spreadsheets that we use. We're turning it all into software programs. So we have a software that's going to be coming out, and my goal is to have it out before the end of the year. And it is really our entire way of planning from prep. So take a half hour, 45 minutes, and you can prep an entire portfolio. Your financial assistant is the one doing this. You've got a before and after analysis of a portfolio, meaning you take what they're doing now, show them, we call it dangers, opportunities, and solutions, or strategies. And we take them through and we show them, here's your portfolio. Here's where we see the dangers. And is that important for you to address them? And here's where we see your opportunities. So you've got a great pension. You've got time on your side. You've got a great savings rate. And by the way, you've built a portfolio that puts you probably maybe in the top, 5% of all Americans. And we really try to make them feel good about what they're doing, not knock them down for what they're not doing. But then we say, here's how you transition that. So one of the big things that we're teaching people is people build wealth and they use things like dollar cost averaging along the way. So dollar cost averaging is a proven strategy. It's powerful. It works even during terrible markets. You might get a 5% compounded rate of return when there's a 13-year period with the S&P that it made basically zero other than dividends. But if you dollar cost average, you had well over a 5% compounded rate of return. Not exciting, but it's a lot better than a zero for 13 years. But once people build their bucket of wealth and they've got $1 million, $2 million, $3 million in their retirement account, there's no dollar cost averaging. And if there is, it's negligible because they're putting, $5,000 a month, which sounds big, but not compared to a $3 million portfolio.
Sure.
So it has hardly any effect on the portfolio. So we show them strategies to bring dollar cost averaging back to the equity side of their portfolio. And it's a system, so it's very powerful. It can be back tested and it connects with people because when you retire, you don't want that 30, 40% drop ever again. So we call our method of investing defined outcome investing. And we teach that to people and we try to get them to be raving fans of that. And then that leads to additional clients. And it leads to those clients because it's a good process. It's how I manage my portfolio. So after 35 years, I've made all kinds of mistakes along the way. This is what we've learned and this is how we manage it now. It's not about hitting the grand slams. It's about hitting a lot of singles and doubles. And in retirement, that's typically going to meet the client goals. They just have to avoid the big mistakes. So you get me talking, you can't get me to shut up. So sorry about that, Jeremy.
No, all valuable. And that, I think one thing also to note, so with your team, so you do have a team, but as we sit today, you are technically the only one doing the production. So you rattled off 250 million. I mean, that's impressive for just one solo individual. So that's why the mindset shift has gone more team approach and wanting to have, I mean, if it's a good system, if it's, don't, what's the saying? If it's not
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. So that's where the opportunity lies, is especially during those monthly mastermind calls we do with advisors, and we're all about sharing best practices. And I think it's definitely iron sharpens iron amongst the team. Yeah. So everybody has their own strengths, and definitely if there's any weakness at all, they can lean on the camaraderie we have amongst the group. But I want to say that moving forward too, though, like I think the real sizzle, if I look at every one of y'all in the AMP group, especially your business, it's really around like tax strategies and being able to be, and that's a huge niche. And I say that because a lot of advisors in our field, they do a lot of great income planning. They do awesome retirement planning for their customers, but they usually have to lean on somebody for estate planning or taxes. And that's where it's a real big niche. So can you talk to that a little bit of how your team
Sure.
brings that into the overall?
So my undergraduate, ironically, I actually went to school to become a financial planner. And I went to one of two colleges that actually offered it at the time, which was San Diego State University. And I think University of Colorado was the other one. They were the only two colleges in the country that offered that. So my approach and mindset has always been very comprehensive, meaning you don't just sell an annuity, you do comprehensive planning. And you cannot do comprehensive planning without doing tax planning, without doing estate planning. It all interrelates because it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. So we do tax planning with every single client. In fact, every fall, that's their tax planning meeting. So we do a review for performance, and then we go through tax planning. It's not tax planning for the year that we're in. We do cleanup, but it's putting together their plan for next year. And in our process, we develop a short term, an intermediate term, and then even a multi-generational tax plan. And clients of wealth, this resonates with them because they are often in a situation where they know they're leaving a good size estate for their kids. And they want this to be tax efficient. They want to pay their taxes. Most of them are proud Americans. They're happy to pay taxes. They just want it spent wisely. And they want to pay only their share. They want to minimize. So tax planning is completely legal. It's absolutely should be done. You just don't go across that line to tax fraud. That's a whole different world, which we don't play in that playground. But tax planning is key. So teaching people how to do tax planning properly and what is proactive tax planning. Like I laugh, we'll see clients like, oh yeah, we do tax planning. We did a Roth conversion one year. And like, well, that's not tax. Like that's the easy stuff. Tax planning is so much more powerful than that. And it boils down to about 5 key tax strategies that you can go through and teach a client based on the phase of life they are in. And if advisors just master those 5 strategies, they are going to be head and shoulders above 90% of the planners out there. And we are, as you know, we're going to have a system of support for advisors. So we are going from 1 attorneys to 3 attorneys. We are going to have a support system where they have attorneys, they have CPAs that are part of the advisory team that they can call. They know these people and they have a tax practice in their office. Now, granted, it's virtual because they might be in Louisiana and we're in California, but federal tax law drives everything. State tax law is not that hard to incorporate in. So they're going to be able to do these 5 things. So we're going to teach them how to do some of these things that we build such a, really raving fan type following, because once you show clients how to keep more of what they take or what they make, it's huge. And I'll just close up with this on this topic is we really tell clients that we want to be an absolute asset for them. We want to be a profit center for them, not an expense, because we teach our clients about fees and the negative effect of fees and how it really can give a tremendous amount of your portfolio away. So anybody who is not a net positive, including us, they should fire. So go to Vanguard if that's all you're going to do is a Vanguard type portfolio. And so many of the portfolios review, they should either hire somebody like us or fire their advisor and go to Vanguard. But if you do it right, you can do so much better than Vanguard. And that is to make yourself a net positive. There is nothing more powerful than tax planning that may put an extra 6 or 7 figures in the pockets of them or their kids over time. And you can illustrate that with good tax planning. So we don't do tax planning unless they are with us as a portfolio. So we don't offer it as a service. They can't pay us 25 grand to do the tax planning. That's just not an option. So if they are with us and they're paying us, let's just say they're paying us probably 0.7, 0.75 is what it averages, but we charge 1% on the first million. They get all the tax planning as part of that fee. So they don't pay a fee of it at all. Our opinion is you can't do proper planning without doing tax planning. It's really that simple. So we incorporate it into every single portfolio.
For those not familiar with North American, they are a 139-year-old employee-owned company specializing in annuities and life insurance. They hold A-plus ratings with AM Best, S&P, and also Fitch. They had a record annuity year in 2024 with just over $7 billion of issued business that was balanced between guaranteed income and accumulation-focused fixed index annuities. In partnership with Annexus, in 2024, the Secure Horizon suite of fixed index annuities was presented with the Deal of the Year Annuities Award by SRP Americas. The award recognizes excellence in annuity products based on performance, customer satisfaction, and sales volume. From an ease of business standpoint, North American has consistently issued in good order cash with app business within 24 to 48 hours via the Firelight e-app platform. And they just announced a first to market capability within the platform, the ability for the client to take a picture of a check and submit it right along with the e-application. That means instant issue on in good order business and commissions paid that much quicker. If you are looking for an employee owned industry leader in the annuity space that gets business issued fast and you paid commissions faster, North American is that company. For more information around North American's competitive advantages, go to www.insurmarkamp.com/Jeremy and click on Learn More. North American, prepare for your financial future. No, I'm excited as your team continues to grow, especially around the tax planning and strategies. I actually mentioned at the very beginning, you are definitely of the mindset of that the whole 10x mindset. So could you talk to the entrepreneur that's possibly listening to the show today? What would be, I guess, 3 tips for an advisor who's looking to get into that type of mindset for 10x in their business? What would be 3 tips from you that got you to where you're at?
Sure. So 10x is an old strategic coach concept from Dan Sullivan.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is I did his program 20 years ago, probably more than that now. Boy, I'm getting older. 25 to 30 years ago, I had to lie to get into his program. I mean, I literally said my income was higher than it was. And it wasn't even at 100,000 at that time. I was pretty much fresh out of law school and I was converting, like building the practice. And he did this exercise of 10x. So again, 25-year-old concept, not new at all. I did it and I thought this guy was a kook. Like, there is no way I'm taking my almost 100,000 of income and I'm going to make $1 million. There's just no way. So my biggest tips is go through the exercise, dream big, definitely at least 10x what your goal is going to be. Write it down. So big goals, write them down, work backwards as to how you're going to get there. I don't care if you never look at that again. If you just go through that exercise, your chances of success in 10xing, they go up exponentially. And I kept all of my coaching stuff from back then and we did it. So we actually dropped out of the program because he gave us so much content. I'm sitting here thinking, I can use this for years. I don't need to be staying in the program. Well, we just joined up with basically somebody who's from the 10X program. We're doing it again. But if you do that and you dream big, you schedule out what it would take to get there, it's amazing how much easier 10X really is than 2X. Mm-hmm. Our goals, like we want to be over $1 billion in assets under management. So the goal is actually 2.5 because we're 10xing our 250 million. And when I first thought about it, I'm thinking, this is how can Terry do this? My calendar's full already. I like the $1 to $10 million clients. So we have other advisors that say, look, I'm going to do 10 million plus. That's great, but that's not my people. My people are 1 to 10 million. I love those people. I work hard for them. I feel good about planning for them. That's who I want to help. They tend to be just phenomenal, normal people. I don't feel comfortable around the ultra wealthy. Now we're building that, but I'm blue collar. I believe in people that work hard, build something. I love working for physicians. Part of my story and why I'm going to re-record it is part of my passion for helping physicians centers around, we had triplets that lived in the NICU for a month. They saved our kids' lives. Like it's just powerful what they do for people. So helping them makes me feel good. So getting off track here a little bit, but my advice is go through the exercise, read the book, 10X is better than 2X, and apply it. And ideally get a coach. So it doesn't matter what level, but having somebody that holds you accountable, it just has a magical effect. When you have to pay somebody for them to tell you what you already know, it's worth it, which sounds crazy, but it really, really is, because you don't want to waste that money. So you apply what you should be applying anyway. So that would be my advice is really to just embrace that process.
Very powerful stuff. And you can actually follow Terry on his podcast. So you have a podcast yourself to launch. What is it? Do you actually?
Yeah, so it's We Money Talk. So just search We Money Talk. It'll come up. Don't go to We Talk Money. That's somebody else, but WE Money Talk. And that's something it's really geared toward retirees and clients, but it's great for advisors too, because they can kind of see how we think about it and steal the ideas, implement them readily. Don't feel bad about it. There are a lot of retirees. They need help. We can each only help so many. So take them, rebrand them. You have my free license to make it your own. And that's what we're doing. So we're learning from a lot of great advisors. We're not coming up with all these unique ideas ourselves.
But I think also that leads to, as you go on embark this journey, there is only one you, and that's what we continue to talk about is systems, processes, and when you
Yeah.
start to put yourself out there in podcast format or some other type of format, I mean, the amount of leverage you have, where if an advisor listens to this and they say, "Man, I would love to do estate planning for my own current client," it's like I want to start to implement that. And now it's not having to get Terry on the phone. They can literally go listen to certain episodes. I'm sure you'll have a whole process for them to follow, but that's just the importance of being able to be mindful and leverage your time through
Yeah.
some of this technology.
Yeah, so, some of what's coming is we're going to go beyond that. So they're going to have the national resource that, of course, we can help them with the big picture tax planning. Very centralized. You jump on a Zoom, you can help anybody anywhere in the country. Legal's a little different because you have to be licensed in each state.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, the goal is one to make sure they're with the right attorney, but we're going to help the participants actually make that relationship. And I was a financial planner at Dean Witter that went to law school because I looked like I was 15. And then I don't have that problem anymore. And then I incorporated the two, but I did build an estate planning practice where I went on a little bit of a hiatus, and I had 10 attorneys working for me at one point, and we had all kinds of estate planning, which is very transactional. And I had a system where you do not only the initial planning, but you do formal updating and maintenance each year, and then you do trust administration when somebody passes away. It works. We still do it to this day. But when you get into the estate planning side, you have to have an attorney that is holistic, that understands that it's really about the client, not just about avoiding probate and doing tax planning. That's the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go into remarriage protection, divorce protection, asset protection, protecting kids from themselves, financial elder abuse protection. All these things are things that we have a workshop that we're going to be releasing here, that it's the advisor that teaches it, not the attorney. Now, the reason for this is if you are teaching a workshop, which I've done countless of these with Merrill Lynch, Dean Witter, A.G. Edwards, New York Life, you name them, we've trained them. I get up there as their guest speaker. I get all the credibility as the attorney. They all become my clients, and a small fraction become clients of those financial advisors.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you teach this workshop and you are not the legal expert, but you will know estate planning thoroughly after you go through the training, you'll probably know it better than some of these attorneys. But you don't teach the legal part. You teach the family holistic part. And then you bring the attorney in to do the legal work. The attorney needs to be part of this, needs to understand the system and why it works the way it does. But if they do that, your partnership with that attorney, if they buy into it hook, line, and sinker, which if you do proper planning, they will. But these folks are fiduciaries, they're advocates. If you're cramming 80% annuities down their throat, they're not going to work with you long, right? At least not if they have any ethics. So they are going to become your biggest advocate. And the goal that we're going to have for each member in our plan is they should be with an attorney, that we turn that attorney's law practice into a wealth planning practice. Mm-hmm. And I have a very successful 7-figure wealth or estate planning practice. I could care less about the estate planning practice. It's the financial practice that includes estate planning that matters, because that's how you really help people. And if you can really help people and you create a win-win situation, you're going to absolutely thrive by delivering more value than they ever expected. It does take more work than selling a product, but it is so much more powerful. And boy, you get up and you look at yourself in the mirror and say, am I being the man that I want to be? It really helps you answer that in a positive way, because you're helping families avoid the traps that are really perilous potentially in their retirement. And if you can do that for them, they're going to love you for it. You're going to love yourself for it, because you're a positive force in the world. And that's ultimately our goal.
Powerful stuff. Anything as we're wrapping up that we maybe missed out on, or last words of wisdom from Terry?
Systems work, people fail.
I like that.
All joking aside, like you have that as your tagline, but boy, is it so true. and we try to systematize everything, but you really embracing that's the only way that we will ever be able to 10x, and we've been doing that so much so that our firm is a playbook that you can just follow the blueprint. That is one of the more powerful concepts that we've really taken to heart, that you've really, we've heard it before, but you've really impressed that upon us, and thank you for that, because it's the systems and the resources you bring to advisors. I've been involved with one other organization that they ultimately sold it, and the guy that ran it was my mentor for years. I ended up hiring his sister, who was here for 16 years. She just retired. But this organization at InsurMark and what they've done with InsurMark and Simplicity, I couldn't speak highly enough about the camaraderie and what you bring to the table. You guys truly do over deliver on your promises, and that's something we very much appreciate. So thank you for that. So if you're thinking about working with Jeremy and his team, I couldn't give him a bigger endorsement. So definitely, I would embark on that journey.
Appreciate that. It is very reciprocal. You, Angela, we are looking forward to spending many days with you guys later this year.
Absolutely. We look forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you. So thank you, Terry, for your time. And also thank you to the listener for tuning in to this week's episode of the Advisor Mentorship Podcast. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite listening device so you do not miss out on any future episodes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Jeremy Hauser AMP, and also connect with us on LinkedIn at Jeremy Hauser. And as you share this episode with a friend or a colleague, remember, in a world full of betas, be an alpha.